implementation of basal insulin, and thanks to Sanofi for inviting me for this symposia. What I'll be talking about the insulin titration, we'll be talking about the strategy, different strategy for optimal titration of basal insulin, stepwise intensification, what are the challenges when we are intensifying with premix formulation, what are the practical pointers for stepwise basal insulin intensification, and then I will summarize. I will finish it in 15 minutes, so little fast. We know that average optimization dose of basal insulin remain 18 units practically in Asian countries. I mean, in average, in European countries, they are using basal insulin for more than 30 or 40 units, but most of our patients are averagely using only 18 units. And 80 to 85% of our patients who are using insulin, not even only the basal, even the premix also, they are not on target. The lack of insulin titration is one of the most important reasons for this poor glycemic control. So this is very important, and I could not understand once the patient is already initiated, why we are not able to titrate or intensify the therapy. Now there are multiple reasons. I am not talking about the clinical inertia of physicians, but there are patient perspective. One of the biggest perspective from the patient point of view, he thinks that dose increase mean further worsening of the disease. Other side, he understands that will insulin cause more harm than good? It is difficult to integrate insulin into my daily life because again, it's a complex regime sometimes. Titration algorithm are very difficult, and these are the titration inertia. Not I'm talking from a clinician point of view, from the the patient perspective. But there is one big problem of fear of hypoglycemia. I'm sure just before me, the Kamlesh must have talked to you about the hypoglycemia, but the consequence of fear of hypoglycemia in type 2 diabetes is also very high, particularly patients on basal insulin. It should be less rather, but the decreased desire for tight glycemic control. That's also from the patient perspective as well as physician. Sometimes they feel reduced willingness to intensify therapy, compromised compliance to the therapy, and poor adherence to the therapy. Sometimes they are not taking even the regularly also. So what should be done? Ideally, we should use a insulin with have well-established low risk of hypoglycemia. This is most important thing. So the hypoglycemia is already a risk for that, and we should use an insulin which should cause less hypoglycemia. The other is, we should use the titration algorithm in such a way that it should be simple and easy. You know, the two major reasons why the insulin is not titrated or not intensified, one is hypoglycemia and other is a complex titration regime. So we have an insulin which causes less hypoglycemia and which have a better titration algorithm. If you just see the insulin glargine, it has less hypoglycemia, the less risk of hypoglycemia in compared to premix insulin. The premix insulin, in compared to that, we have on the initiate study, on the right side study, even with the co-formulation also with IDEC aspart with glargine OD, the same, they have less hypoglycemia in the patient with glargine, and this paper has been published by Dr. Ajay Kumar. So this is a significant less hypoglycemia with the patients who are on a basal insulin analog insulin glargine, and this have in compared to premix as well as with co-formulation. Now what are the strategy by which we can have optimal titration for the basal insulin? So there are multiple papers from the Insight, Atlantis, Landmat or Predictive where 1 unit is done or 2 units every 3rd day or 3 units adaptation is done every 3rd day. Whichever you want to use, which you can use it. The simple patient-directed titration algorithm have been successfully used in these different clinical trials and in its paper. One of the recommendation which was in CID from the Rajiv Koil was the first author in this, and that we had used very simple, that patients who are between 80 to 130, you don't up-titrate the dose of the basal insulin, it can be same. If it is less than 80, decrease it by -2. If it is around 131 to 160, 8 plus 2 or 160 to 180, add +4. There is one more paper with the Indian author Dr. Sarita Bajaj. She talked in the B-SMART, that B-SMART is a basal early strategy to maximize A1C reduction with oral therapy. And it focuses 7 vitals. These all are T. T is treatment, titration, timing of the administration, transportation, storage, technique of administration, target of titration, tablets, and tools for monitoring. And what was recommended? The recommendation was, again, almost same. The only thing is the patient has to do every 3rd day instead of every alternate day. It was an every 3rd day, and 3 most recent fasting plasma glucose patient can take, and out of that titrate the insulin dose according to the 3 most recent fasting plasma glucose level. The RSSDI guideline in 2019, which we have published just before some time, where the fasting and the titration, the first you initiate the patient on a basal insulin, all those patients whose A1C is more than 8 you add with the 0.2 to 0.3. Those patients whose A1C is less than 8 and we want to add the basal insulin at little low, that is 0.1 to 0.2 unit per kg. The titration has to be done every 2 to 3rd day to reach the glycemic target, and it is the same. The patient with the fasting plasma glucose between 100 to 139, we added 1 unit. So we want to keep the target little 90 to 110, and patients who are going in hypoglycemia, reduce the dose by 10 to 20%, and those who have very significant glucose level low, you reduce it by 20 to 40%. But we have to empower the patient, because every time patient can't call the healthcare professional or your clinician. So consider a patient's ability and motivation. We should, if patient is able to self-titrate, there is nothing like it. The titration algorithm has to be very simple so patient can use. It has to be safe and it has to be effective, but it has to be individualized. So every patient you can't put down self-titration mode. The key information regarding the basal insulin titration should be reinforced at a regular interval. So I mean, every time when patient coming to the doctor, he should reinforce about the titration of the basal insulin therapy. Provide a hypothetical scenario, and this is what I do in my clinical patient, in clinic, that we just say that patient, suppose your next day after 3 days, your sugar comes 140, what will you do? Will you increase, will you decrease, will you add, or will you keep same? So this provide hypothetical scenario, or your educator, your assistant, your dietitian, somebody can do for that. If the patient is unable to calculate the dose, consider more simplified algorithm, or you can teach the relative of the patient, or patient can contact directly to the clinic also. Now there is a physician guided patient-led and similar efficacy as far as clinical driven titration, and she had already talked about it. And if you have the patient who is done by the clinician or patient himself, there is hardly any difference. I am going little fast because this study has already been published. This study is already talked and discussed. The physician-guided patient-led titration results from Atlas India study, which had shown the patients who were from the 9.2, you can see 7.68 in 12 weeks, and those patients with the physician-led, it was rather high, 8.1. And after 24 weeks, those patients who were doing, it was slightly higher, it was lower than the patient with the physician. It is 7.67 against 8.01. So the patients were doing better in compared to even the physicians were doing. The similar do simple titration algorithm work definitely, and the treat to target trial base, when 2 to 8% increase weekly basis. If you do in a weekly, it is slightly less in compared to the patients who are doing it every alternate day or once in a 3 days. So you have the algorithm 1, algorithm 2, and algorithm 3. Algorithm 2 works very well in initiative study where patient driven titration, and they had used 2 units increase every 3 days. And what I use also in my clinical practice, that we call and we tell our patients every 3rd day they can titrate the dose either by 1 unit or 2 units, depending on the patients, whether they can do 1 or 2, and what is the fasting plasma glucose level. And this had shown the higher percentage of patients reach glycemic target without hypoglycemia with use of a simple algorithm, which is either 2 days or once in a 3 days. The cross-platform mobile. So can we use other than that? Yes, the technology had come, and in the technology, patient who can use with that help of this platform, and which is a MyStar Dose coach. So in this, the patient has to download this coach, and the patient just put the fasting plasma glucose, and it gives you the idea that how much the titration is required or how much increment in the basal insulin is to be done. Or we can also do through the self SMS or through the cell phone based support, where the patient is just taking the insulin and he is either doing the messages or to the nurse or the clinician assistant, and they are also titrating the insulin with that method. The insulin titration was done either with the help of some technology based app or through the SMS. What the stepwise intensification with the basal insulin, what will you do? When you will stop the further titration, if suppose patient is already, you started him on a 20 or 30, when you will tell the patient now further up titration is not required. One is when HbA1c's target is still not achieved, but patient is using 0.5 unit per kg per day for basal insulin. So suppose he is 80 kg, if he is already using 40 units of the basal insulin, then further titration you will not do. That patient has to come back to the doctor. And what else has to be done, that we have to discuss. HbA1c goal, despite normal fasting, but HbA1c is still not controlled. So you have a patient whose fasting glucose had come below 110 or 100 or 102, but still the HbA1c is high. The targeted PPG level, which is if you are doing the post-meal glucose level, they are not under control. So it means the patient fasting is controlled, but the post-meal sugar, whether it's post-breakfast, post-lunch and post-dinner, they are not controlled. So this is the time when we will now further titration from the basal insulin, we will be stopping. So what are the options? Whether we can go with the option of intensifying through the basal bolus, basal plus, or using a GLP-1, or should we switch this patient to the premix insulin? So we have three different way, either of that we can use. In RSSDI 2019, we have written that any of these can be used according to the patient. But one of the best way of using is basal plus, because this study very interesting, which had shown even with the patients with a 0.7 years of a diabetes or even 4 years of a diabetes, at any level of HbA1c, you can see there is a post-breakfast hyperglycemia. So even a 1 year of diabetes, or whether you go with the 10 years of diabetes, at whatever level of HbA1c, whether you are talking of, yes. So on this side, you can see even at the 6 HbA1c also, there is a postprandial hyperglycemia, or even at the 9 also, there is a postprandial hyperglycemia. With the 10 years of diabetes also, or even with the 4 years of diabetes, it is the post-breakfast hyperglycemia, which is very, very high. So I mean, you add the bolus, which is the biggest meal of the day, or with pre-breakfast, because the post-breakfast hyperglycemia is one of the highest. So I mean, the lifestyle changes, metformin, what we use for our patient is a first add-on therapy in a diabetic patients, once they are not controlled, once their patients are on basal insulin. Now further intensification, either you go with the basal plus, which is adding the prandial insulin with the biggest meal of the day, or with the pre-breakfast, or we go with the basal bolus, and completely all three meals are covered with a bolus therapy. What is the rationale behind basal plus? Because it allows you step-by-step approach. It delays the progression to full basal bolus regime. So I mean, if patient we put on full basal bolus regime, it means patient has to take 4 shots in a day, while a basal plus, it means only 2 shots in a day, and that you can do with the basal plus. And this what we do is with the largest meal of the day. And here it is compared with the patients who are given with the largest meal of the day, or when they are given only pre-breakfast. And you can see the difference between the patients who are given pre-breakfast between 7.35, it has come down to 7.03, while it was compared with the measure meal of the day, it had come down between 7.29 to 6.94. It means it has to be individualized. Some patients have a biggest meal of the day, maybe dinner, some may have a lunch, and many of the patients may have the breakfast, maybe the biggest meal of the day. What is the largest meal? That we have to always define, and then always we have to discuss with the patients, and our nutritionist can also decide that this is the right time to start the patients on a bolus therapy, maybe pre-lunch or maybe pre-dinner, and there is a definitely less hypoglycemia, but the risk of hypoglycemia will be always there whenever you are adding one more insulin, and that risk is very, very low. Still it is, you can see here between 0.04 to 0.9. So the stepwise intensification of basal insulin glargine with a single injection of glulysin could be considered in a clinical practice. Whether glulysin was administered at breakfast or at the main meal, equivalent improvement in HbA1c could be achieved with a similar hypoglycemia risk. So the risk of hypoglycemia was not more in compared to the patients who are on complete basal bolus therapy. If it is not met with the fasting glucose, and even still the patient is not controlled with HbA1c high, the second choice is, can we go with the premix? The problem with the premix formulation, and particularly for intensifying the therapy, if you see this particular study, the key findings between the patients who are on premix co-formulation or premix insulin, the difference between the glargine and premix, you can see significant difference as far as hypoglycemia is concerned. So they may have achieved a better HbA1c. HbA1c may be better, but the risk of hypoglycemia, particularly overall hypoglycemia or nocturnal hypoglycemia, was higher in compared to the glargine with the premix insulin. The same, one more all-to-target trial where basal bolus and bolus versus premix in type 2 diabetes patients, the greater reduction was found with the patients who are on the basal bolus or with the premix, but there was a less hypoglycemia in the arm with the basal plus in compared to the patients who are on a premix. There is one more in hospitalized type 2 diabetic patients. You have a patient who is in hospital, whether to give him a premix insulin or to give him a basal plus or basal bolus. Again, the higher rate of hypoglycemia was there in the patients with a premix human insulin in compared to the patients who are on a basal plus or on a basal bolus. So the comparison of the pros and cons, there is a advantage of basal plus is higher dosing titration flexibility, and that's what we want. I mean, the patient every time you may have the fasting control, but the post-meal glucose level is not controlled, or even the main meal of the person is also changing. So that also you can decide, or you can further intensify from basal plus, you can do the basal bolus. That advantage and that flexibility lies with the basal plus. That's a disadvantage. There is a slightly increase in weight gain, and there is a possibility the other post-meal glucose level is not very good control if patient is eating more. The basal bolus definitely maximum flexibility, but one of the disadvantages is patient has to take 4 shots, and definitely when patient is taking more insulin, chances of weight gain and more risk of hypoglycemia. With a premix, the regime becomes very simple because patient is taking only 2 shots, one before breakfast, one before dinner, whatever decided by the doctor is fine, but less dosing titration. How to titrate? Patient can't do on his own, and the flexibility becomes very, very less. It is less effective as far as glycemic control is there. There are many patients who are on premix insulin. As soon as they try to increase the dose, they land up in the hypoglycemia, more weight gain in compared to other, even with the basal plus or basal bolus, there is a more weight gain with the patients who are on a premix insulin. Also, the stepwise in recommended by American Diabetic Association in 2020, they are making very simple. The patient, you start with the basal insulin, add 1 prandial insulin with biggest meal of the day, which is the largest meal of the day. If patient is on NPH, you can always divide the NPH twice in a day. If patient is not on target, still above the target, you add the patient stepwise the prandial, that will become from basal to bolus. While the patient who is not on the control, you can think of premix insulin also. So the last choice is considered twice daily premix regime. So I mean the patients who are, if you have done on the basal, basal plus, basal bolus, and some of the patients who want simplified regime, then you can think of premix. The GLP, we all know, I am not going in detail for that because prandial GLP is a PPG lowering predominant. So that's a major problem when you have a patient who is on a fasting is well controlled and postprandial is not getting control. Then you would like to add the first choice of therapy, according to me, should be the prandial or the GLP-1 analog to control the prandial insulin. And this is the one trial with lixisenatide, which had have a dual drug who are on the metformin glitazone, only on metformin or only on sulfonylurea, and you can say significant difference in postprandial glucose control. 56 milligram, 100 milligram, and 144. Those patients who are on this is the Asia study where the postprandial glucose control was fantastic with the patients who are on the GLP-1. The glycemic variability will be the less, and its pool analysis had shown higher baseline glycemic variability we found to correlate more with the longer type 2 diabetes duration and with the lower BMI. So the GV was significantly reduced from baseline to week 24 in the lixisenatide group compared with the placebo group throughout all markers, whether the patient with the older age, longer duration of diabetes, less BMI, or with a higher postprandial glucose level. So the practically, the intensification use rapid acting analog, not the regular insulin where you are intensify after basal. Start with 1 shot, which is biggest meal of the day or the largest meal of the day, and the second or third you can always use whenever there is a complete daytime blood glucose control is required or patient is eating still more carbohydrate content is there. So it's very easy for preparing a patient for a basal and a prandial insulin therapy. The tip is to discuss the treatment goal with the patient, which is most important, to project a positive attitude about insulin while discussing the therapy, to discuss patient day-to-day routine and habits, and to facilitate discussion about insulin and educate the patients on a diabetes self-management. So typically, this is, I'm not going that, home glucose monitoring, which is very important. Again, the pre-meal and post-meal glucose patient should check. So once the patient is already fasting, plasma glucose is controlled, and further intensification when we require, you check with pre-meal and post-meal, and then you will try to find that which is the biggest meal of the day, and accordingly, we can add the prandial insulin at that situation, in that particular meal. So clinical situation, patients on a basal insulin with a HbA1c of 7 to 8, the higher percentage will achieve HbA1c less than 7 if you add the basal plus therapy. Patients who are already on 2 or 3 drugs whose HbA1c is around 8.5 to 9, then these are the patients who may require basal bolus both, and patients who are on HbA1c more than 8.5, definitely basal bolus therapy. Choosing a appropriate patients for a basal plus therapy, patients who are already on premix insulin, we can think of. If you are doing either their continuous glucose monitoring or self-monitoring, patient starting on a steroid therapy, they require more either basal plus or basal bolus therapy because the post-meal hyperglycemia will be very, very high. So these are the patients who will, even though they are on basal insulin, but they will require the bolus insulin many times and sometimes even basal bolus therapy completely. To summarize, Basal insulin dose to be optimized sufficiently before intensification. Intensification of basal insulin is important in achieving control of prandial sugar in type 2 diabetic patients who have failed basal insulin therapy. Rapid-acting and long-acting insulin analog mimic normal endogenous prandial and basal insulin secretion, and it provides opportunity for more physiological insulin replacement. Basal plus approach is an effective intensification option. The limitation of premix can overcome using basal plus or basal bolus therapy. Thank you very much. Once again, thanks to Unni. I just want to remind you all of you that RSSDA 2020, the new date is 26th to 29th May. I welcome you all on behalf of RSSDA. Thank you.